Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. If you watch my show regularly, you know that a while back I had on a wonderful doctor, Dr. Aruna Nathan, who told a story about her husband who adopted this way of eating, this way meaning a whole food plant-based diet that I eat, have eaten for 45 years and recommend for a variety of reasons. And her husband reversed his diabetes. I said, well, I'd like to have him on the show. And he agreed to come on. He's going to give a little bit of a slide presentation and also show you some of the recipes that he used to tackle his diabetes with food. Please welcome Suren Nathan to the show. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you, Chef AJ. Wonderful to be on your show.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, congratulations. That's huge. Because a lot of doctors still think you can't reverse diabetes.
Well, it can be done. And I am a regular guy. Unlike most of the people on your show, I'm not associated with the healthcare industry. Just following what I read, and my wonderful physician wife has told me that, hey, you can do it. And here I am.
Well, I can't wait. Were you having any symptoms, or how did you?
No, that is the amazing part, right? There is no stereotypical view of diabetes, right? So if you look at all the material that's out there, you either have to be obese, or you're on a particular standard American diet, and these are all the predominant factors for diabetes. And here I am, a vegetarian, low weight, no symptoms, and bang, there it is. So
how did they find out?
I went for an annual physical, regular physical, annual physical. And then there it is. The vitals came out and the doctor said, hey, you are a diabetic. I said, what? What is that all about? And there you go.
How were you guys eating before this? Were you eating standard American diet, or were you eating what you thought was?
No, we were vegetarians, right? We were using, but see, the problem is vegetarian means what? Most of it is fried food, simple carbs, bread, rice, they're all vegetarian food, but it's not conducive to, blood sugar or diabetes. So it's a lot of learning that occurred in this process to say, hey, you don't have to be on the standard American diet. I'm an outlier, but still in the diabetic spectrum.
Well, that's good to know, because there's probably a lot of people out there like you that have it and don't know it.
Absolutely, especially the South Asians, they have a gene, a sugar gene.
Oh my God. But they use jaggery, don't they?
They use both. White sugar and jaggery.
Wow. Well, how long ago was this?
This was 2019.
So pretty
about August, September timeframe, up to just before the pandemic, right?
Wow. Perfect.
No, but the doctor told me that, hey, you just got diagnosed now. Probably you were in this condition for at least 3 to 4 years, because the numbers could not be so high all of a sudden. Right. So that's the thing.
Very, very good. I'm so happy for you, and I'm sure that you're happy too.
I'm very happy. I hope I can sustain this. It's a dedicated effort, and some sort of a discipline, I guess, is needed, especially when it comes to diet. Diet is cultural, whether we like it or not. And there are events around you, there are family circumstances around you that forces you to eat it a certain particular way. And then you have to control that and discipline it and divert it. That takes some effort. So far, so good. Let's keep the fingers crossed.
Great. Well, I'm very excited to see what you are going to share with us.
Absolutely. Glad to. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. I'm going to make it presenter view here. Can you see it?
Perfect. Tackling diabetes with food.
Perfect. All right. So this was a quick presentation to narrate my journey, as I mentioned. And along the way, I'll intersperse some material on what I learned. So first disclaimer, this is one man's opinion, one man's personal experience on how he took approaches to control and tackle diabetes. I'm not at all a physician or a healthcare worker or associated. So don't take anything I say without consulting with the appropriate people regarding your health. Okay, let's put that out there. So a little bit about me. I'm a technology executive, lived in the DC area for about 30 years. I told you my wonderful wife, who happens to be a lifestyle medicine physician. I've learned a lot from her about lifestyle medicine per se. and of course, our wonderful dog and a couple of adult kids. So they're all in the area. So lifestyle, circa 2019. Hey, life is good. All's going well. It's kind of pseudo sedentary, not the marathon type. But, vegetarian diet, as I mentioned, but a lot of simple carbs and plenty of work travel. They travel around the world, which involves eating out, work lunches and work dinners. And you know what you get outside when you eat. That's what you do. And typical work-related stress. I shouldn't say it's overwhelming, but nevertheless, it's always there when you work. So this is my lifestyle. Life is going on, nothing to complain. Then in October, went for an annual physical. And there you go. And there it says my weight was okay. Then the HbA1c came out at 7.3. And then the fasting sugar was 203. And the doctor said, you are a diabetic. So like, whoa, what is that all about? What? So then I said, what does that mean? And he gave me the grim news. Diabetics is a chronic disease. There is no cure. Its medication is often required and is to be taken forever. You cannot get out of it. It is dangerous if you don't control it. It can cause multiple organ failures. This is the standard dialogue that happens between a physician and a patient when the first diagnosis comes. Then it took a couple of minutes to grapple with that situation. Said, then the next natural question is, why me? Why should this happen to me? I'm not overweight. I'm a vegetarian, for crying out loud. I do not chug colas and Slurpees, and I don't eat the burgers. I don't even have any symptoms. I don't drink water. I don't feel thirsty. I don't get up in the night to go to the restroom. None of that. It's like peaceful. I have full energy, no issues. What is this all about? Right? Then we got to talking and started reading some material, talking to other folks. And then I realized, oops, okay, you are in that bucket called the South Asian bucket. So I come from India. That's my ethnic background. And there you go. The diet culturally in our houses, our Indian diet, as you know, is a high simple carb diet. And Indians, South Asians in particular, intra-abdominal fat, even though it's not visible, there is the visceral fat out there. There is insulin resistance, low beta, all these jargon and mumbo jumbo. I started learning, what is this? But most of these people, immigrants or people from South Asia, at least they are knowledge workers. They are sedentary work mostly. They're in the technology field, they're in the medical field, etc. They don't do a lot of physical activity in their work. So they're mostly desk kind of white collar type of job, right? So this is the profile. So I fit the profile. I said, okay, now what? Learn all diabetics are not the same. So you cannot put them in the same bucket. Hey, he's a sad standard American diet. He's obese. He's this and that. And therefore he's a diabetic. No, I'm completely the opposite. So we got to look at every diabetic patient differently. And what is their cultural background? What are they eating? What is their stress level? What is the lifestyle? It's very, very, very important, Rad, before we quickly jump into how do you cure it or what kind of medicine to do, right? All right. So it's merely going along and say, what are my options, doctor? What do I do? So he says, okay, given where you are, and probably you've been a diabetic for at least a couple of years, if not more, or maybe a pre-diabetic for a number of years. Okay, you can do this. You can diet, exercise, change your lifestyle, but it's very, very hard. It's very hard, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you have the mental tenacity to persist. It's very difficult. So I said, okay, so what else? He says, or you can take some medication, a range of medication. You can do metformin, blockers and this and that, and say, okay, that's easy. Pop some pills and, go along. Maybe eventually take some insulin. I didn't like it. Okay, but I'm somehow averse to medication and the whole thought of putting something. But then I do want to caution that certain conditions do require medication. I'm not an anti-medication guy. I'm just saying, given this prognosis, I thought, hey, there is a route out there. Let me at least explore it. Let me try to adopt a diet. Let me try to exercise a little better. Let me try to change my lifestyle and see if it does a material change, right? So I took the left hard way out. at least as a starting point. All right. Then I came across this book. This is a guy, Victor Lindlar. He was an osteopathic physician in the 1930s. He used to be a radio host, I believe, like kind of a talk show host. And he used to be a health news writer. And he said, you are what you eat. And back in 1936, he talked about eating the right kind of food to avoid, obesity, overweight, and hypertension, all that. I guess nobody listened to him. But anyway, so that phrase caught my attention. You are what you eat. Okay. So who am I? So I said, what was my diet? So I broke it apart and said, what am I eating for every meal? So I noticed, man, I'm eating muesli, oatmeal, bagels, a lot of bread, whole grain bread. Okay, remember, whole grain bread is good for you. And all sorts of rice, brown rice, wild rice, red rice, black rice, all of them are good for you. Only the white rice is not good. And then flatbreads and pizzas and pastas and burritos. You can go, and then Indian food. Oh my, tons of Indian food and breakfast and rotis and naans. Beautiful and tasty. This is my diet. This is what I'm eating. So a combination of Western, Eastern, all sorts of diets in there, interspersed. So, okay, I am what I eat, and this is what I'm eating, and I am a diabetic. Now what? So, what should I eat? Right? And then when I looked around, it was as though I was going through a mental jujitsu. Keto, paleo, vegan, Mediterranean, blue zone, gluten-free, and another probably 10 other types of diets out there. Everybody has a diet. Every show is there. Internet is filled with these type of things. So I said, how do you know what to eat? Knowing that all diabetics are not the same and they cannot be put in the same bucket, how can I put myself in one of these buckets? So I said, no, I'm not going to go this route. I'm going to figure out what works for me. So I'm an engineer by background, and I need to see the data. I cannot take somebody at face value. This, unfortunately, sometimes it works to my benefit, sometimes it doesn't. But I said, okay, let me look at it. Then I got reminded of when I started working, the American management guru, right? Peter Drucker said, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. I said, whoa, that's interesting. So I'm trying to manage my blood sugar level and my diabetes, but I need to measure it. Then I can maybe try to manage it. Okay, how do I measure it? Oh, put the finger stick, get the glucose monitor, prick yourself 2-3 times a day, figure it out what's going on, and then let's go with that. Create a manual chart, track it and all of that. It's a pain in the neck. You forget it sometimes, you go travel, you don't take the monitor, you eat something, you don't know it, you don't see the trends, you see some snapshots of sugar here and there. It was not enough data for me to crunch. It was not giving me a good picture. So I told my physician, this is not working out for me. I need more data. What do I do? He said, okay, for you and the types like you, there is something called CGM, continuous glucose monitor. It was a kind of a nirvana for me. It's a little thing you put on your body. It stays there for 2 weeks. It's a continuously monitoring sensor. It monitors interstitial blood sugar levels. It has more metrics than you ever need. It can monitor 24/7, time in target, trends, during sleep, all sorts of things. Now I had something to work on. I could now look at my blood sugars and what actually affected my blood sugar and how it affected it as soon as I ate the food, not 2 hours later, not 1.5 hours later, all the way through. I said, this is great. So let me use this and test myself and figure out, why is my sugar rising? Why is this happening? So I got on this, put the patch on or the sensor on, started. Only drawback was it's not covered by insurance. So it can be, $75 a pop or something like that for a 2-week period. So at least for the initial, I thought, it's worth it. It's health. Let me get it. So I put it in there, started monitoring. This is where I started to burst some myths. Oatmeal is good for maintaining blood sugar level. No, not for me. I had a little piece of oatmeal and then sugar level went to sky high. Brown rice and wild rice is good. No, not for me. Whole wheat and whole grain bread. No, sorry. Brands and low sugar cereals. No. All fruits are fine. No, certain fruits were dramatically bad than others. Fresh fruit juices are okay. No. So these are all standard things I used to do, and none of them worked for me. That's what the reading said. That's what the sugar level said. Each one of them spiked my sugar above an acceptable threshold 2 hours after food. So I said, okay, this is clear to me. So what I'm eating is not working for me. And what they're saying you should eat is not working for me, because most of those diets would claim you can eat all the carbs you want. You don't eat the fat and everything will be fine, or go into this and that. I don't want to get into that, but I was just looking at what works for me, the individual. These didn't work. Okay. I come to the conclusion after that is there is no universal formula. Food impacts each individual's blood glucose differently. They have many other factors in one's body, and certain foods react a certain way. You can generalize for a certain extent that purely polished white flour and things like that, but there are variations in what you eat, in the complex carb especially. So with that knowledge, I needed a radical change in my diet. And what does radical change mean? Radical change means almost torture. No rice, no wheat, no pasta, no bread, no fruit juices, no bagels, no sugar, no noodles. Oops. You got to go for that. And why is all of that important? Because all of these is basically processed or simple carbs. So that's the bottom line. I never ate any meat, so that was out of the equation anyway. So here is a situation. So here is a vegetarian. I didn't even eat eggs, by the way. So here is a guy who now cannot eat carbs, never ate meat or eggs. So now what? So this is an interesting conundrum. So let's look at what I had to do. Then I came across Michael Pollan. I love the guy, his shows and things like that. He said this, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And then when my wife said, hey, whole foods, plant-based. Okay, let's look at WFPB. Okay, let's look at that. So I said, new diet and lifestyle. That's what I said. You got to go into a new regime or a regimen. So I started constructing my meal plans and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose ingredients that doesn't spike my blood sugar and construct foods out of that for each meal. So breakfast, let's go with chia pudding. Chia seeds, excellent fiber, protein, low carb, filling, great. Tofu, always there, soy. Use that for scrambles or smoothies. Okay, let's go to lunch and dinner. I had to select a base. Okay, the base could be quinoa, slightly better than rice. Didn't spike it that high. Millet was very good. There's many types of millet, pearl millet, foxtail millet, white millet, green millet. They all worked well. They're called the small grains. And then cauliflower rice, that's a miracle thing. Nothing happens if you eat that. So that was and then spaghetti squash or zucchini noodles. All of these became the base. And then on top of that, you could put a lentil stew or a vegetable stew and then made it into a gravy. So I got to construct that, various forms of soups, and then salad. Oh my God, it's as though my world opened. Salads. For the first time, I started tasting all the ingredients individually. It was like that Ratatouille movie where they think, whoa, all the flavors. I said, great, let's start building all these salads. So that's the food part of it. Then I started making, let's make sure we construct this. Physical activity was a weird, what did it mean? I said, let us standardize it. Okay, let me walk some number of quantifiable miles every day or a bike. Just get a standing desk, just walk around, be on mode. Don't sit around most of the time. Okay. Whenever you're craving for something, just have a little bit of nuts, some berries, things like that. Of course, drink a lot of water, these type of things. So this is what I adopted. Oh, of course, if I had listened to my wife, half the things wouldn't have happened. She said, hey, get off your seat and then go do some weight bearing exercise, because when you start doing all these diets, you're going to lose muscle first. So you don't want the muscle to burn, you want the fat to burn. So do some weight bearing. So that's being added. So With that diastole, I had to restructure the kitchen and the pantry. So, okay, get rid of all of that other stuff and put new stuff in there. What does it mean? So get a whole bunch of nuts, almond, walnut, pecan, peanuts. Okay, get all kinds of vegetables. Sign up to this community farms. They deliver, we can go pick it up from the local farmers market all the way up till December. They get the regional produce, seasonal, and go get that. All cruciferous, all greens, all bright colored vegetables, quinoa and millet, fruits, primarily berries, plums, peaches and apples are fine, legumes, all sorts of beans. My goodness, I suddenly found the world of beans. Oils I rarely use, just use a tad in case some dish calls for it, but I'm getting out of that as well. I'll show the recipes today with no oil. And then seeds, dried fruits, great. We use it in very small moderation because it gave me all the sugar it needed. And then spices, oh, wonderful spice. Use it in all sorts of dressings. So this became my my kitchen and pantry stock. Okay. So what most of the folks I talk to and then say, cooking is so pain in the neck. No, cooking is not a chore. If you look at it that way, if cooking is fun. Cooking is a mathematical puzzle. That's the way I look at it. You have n number of ingredients, you mix them up to create something that is super fun, super edible, super tasting, super healthy. And it can be super relaxation. It's almost meditative. You can sit there and cook. And if you share it with others and they love it, it's fantastic. So if you treat it into that sort of a model, then cooking is not a chore. So with that, just a simple example of my mathematical combination I'm talking about. You want to make a salad. You want to make sure the essentials are there. You need it to be fresh. You need it to be crunchy. You need it to be sweet, salt, sour, bitter, and spice. These are the essential ingredients. But I want to make it in 20 minutes or less. All right, fantastic. How do I do that? I start with the base. A base can be any one of that. It can be a kale, a lettuce, arugula, any one of those greens out there could be a base. And on top of the base, I add on. I can add on avocados, pears, pears, beets and tomatoes, peppers and nuts, and all that stuff. Now it's becoming hearty. Okay, then I add some protein on top of that. I can add tofu, chickpeas, black beans, cannellini beans, kidney beans, sprouted lentils, tempeh. My God, now you have a solid meal. And you can imagine this itself is like 1,024 combinations, by the way, here. And then you go more dressing. Oh, you can create any number of dressings with this. No oil, by the way. You can look at that. You can do, Asian dressing. You can do Mediterranean dressing. You can do any dressing you want that to your palate. If you put it all together, you get a wonderful salad under 20 minutes, full of all the essential nutrients you need, and filling and healthy. What else is there? And you can taste every one of them and the flavors are impeccable. So my conclusion is we can fight it, diabetes, and you can even reverse it. These are the 9 became 6 anyway, but these are 9 items. Reduce simple carbs, which is I did. Reduce sugars and processed foods. Eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and you got to pick your fruits. Don't eat the full, eating 10 bananas is not good, but eating half a banana is okay. A lot of water. Diet has to be a discipline. It's not do it once and forget it, nothing happens. You got to cultivate that meal plan, stay with it, and then you can see the result. And that's the great thing about the biofeedback. You get the feedback right away and it makes you motivated. You can continue with it. Monitor your blood sugar to make sure whatever you're doing works for you. You're going to go and meet your physicians periodically to get affirmation. Regular physical activity, the last 2 things is very important. And I don't want to cover here because it does affect, cortisol, which is secreted in the morning when you're getting ready, that spikes the sugar. So if you're getting adequate sleep and you're de-stressed, that levels. So your fasting blood sugar is extremely low if you're de-stressed. So progress report. So I don't want to talk about what I did without showing you some result. So on October 19th, when I went for the physical, I was told my weight was 157, my fasting sugar was 203, HbA1c was 7.3, my triglycerides were out there, total cholesterol, LDL, look at that, very high. Not a pretty picture, not too bad, but still I'm a diabetic. So after all this regimen and things like that, there you go. I lost some weight, but not too bad. Fasting sugar from 203 to 95. My H1 is almost normal with 5.8. My triglycerides is like in the bottom of the barrel. Total cholesterol is acceptable. LDL is also pretty okay. So I find this as a motivation for me. It could be done. I did travel and all these, I've not even gone into what do I do when I do travel. I carry these little Ziploc bags with my chia pudding mix. All I have to do is go to the cafeteria and take a soy milk and dip it. So all sorts of things we've done. So to make sure that it's persistent, I don't relapse, right? That's the whole idea. So 2 years later, so far so good, as I said, things seem to be working okay. Not lost any energy level, nor do I've lost excessive weight. Yeah, I did drop some weight, but with some weight bearing exercise, hopefully it'll come back to about 150. I don't want to be more than 150 anyway. So I'm not on any medication, which was my original goal. Maintain the health, maintain the blood sugar, don't get on medication. Seems to be doable. So it can be done. It can be done. All right. Some sobering statistics, this is, I want to tie it back to why am I in this outlier? Actually, I'm not an outlier, looks like. I mean, then I started reading, Aruna gave me an article, which I read to say 58% of all type 2 diabetics in India is undiagnosed. Half the people are moving along, not even knowing like me that they're there. That is debilitating later on when they find out. So this is affecting a huge percentage of population, either because of their cultural dietary habits or because of their poor testing, or they don't have symptoms, or maybe they're not doing activity. So this is a big problem for a portion of the public. And they can take some comfort in the fact that, hey, they can correct it with diet, right? So that's where I'm going to stop. And I'm going to go quickly. Any questions? I'll stop here and answer any questions before I go into the recipe side of things.
Let me see. I actually was watching your presentation. It was so captivating. I wasn't looking in the chat for questions. So let me look in there now. I'm curious, did your original diagnosing doctor find out about your success?
Yes, we meet once a year. First, I started initial diagnosis. After that, I met him for 2 successive quarters. Because once I undergo this diet, I want to make sure I'm not doing something crazy. So we had a 3-month checkup for the first 2 times. After that, he said, you don't need to see me. You're good. You're doing good. So let's meet once a year. So I went the following year and then things were good. He said, yeah, you're doing great. Continue whatever you're doing. Okay, that's great.
It's interesting that he gave you a choice of lifestyle or medication, but it just assumed that you wouldn't be able to do lifestyle. I feel like that sells the patient short when they automatically assume that nobody's going to be able to do it.
It's like, I think he was trying to be a little candid. He didn't want to sell lifestyle as an easy to adopt. It is challenging, especially if you want to take a strict diet. So he said, yeah, this is available. He didn't say it's not possible. He said, but I want to caution you, it's going to be tough and you got to persist. So you cannot say I adopted the diet for a week and then go back to your ways and then expect things to come back to normal. He said, no, you have to change your diet. Sit there. That's what I think he meant. Anyway.
Well, but you have to persist with the medication too. So
that is true.
I mean, you have to take it. It's very expensive and you have to take it for the rest of your life. And it has side effects, including heart disease. So, I mean, I think that lifestyle should be, the first.
Nowadays, lifestyle is getting more and more traction and it is getting into the mainstream and more physicians are attributing lifestyle and changes in lifestyle. But still, there is this huge industry for diabetes medication, right? I mean, so that's where it is.
Was it, how difficult? I mean, I love that you approached it like with this engineer's mind and like you wanted to see, I wish more people would do it that way, because then they would see what success could look like.
Yeah, see, for me, it was always, data and feedback is important. Even when you work, you want your supervisor or somebody to say, hey, am I doing right or not doing right? I mean, if it is as simple as that for work, what about your health? you don't want to go and rely on a doctor's physical once a year to figure out if you're doing okay, especially if you're this kind of a situation. So I wanted periodic feedback. I wanted instant feedback, because food, when you eat, affected the sugar levels immediately. It didn't affect 3 months down the road. And the most important thing for me about this continuous glucose monitor is, look, A1C is a 3-month average. 3-month average. So 3-month average in calculus terms is area under the curve. So if you look at the average of glucose throughout 24-hour cycle for 90 days, what is the area under the curve? That's it. Your CGM was giving you that in real time, right? So you didn't have to wait for 3 months and then get your full panel blood work to then get what the reading is. That was a confirmation, but you knew you're within the range and the food you're eating is within the range. You're not feeling tired. You're able to go and do whatever you wanted to do. And it's healthy food. So, as I said, my thing was I started tasting food. Before we used to boil the heck out of it or stir fry it or do something and just nuke it in the microwave. Now all these flavors are emerging from these plants and plant-based foods, and it's wonderful. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Is there anything you miss from the old days?
Indian breakfast, it's like if you go to some party or event or some festivities there, the population will throw out some samosas or some dosas and things like that. Man, it's like, it's hard to stay away from all of that. I said, nope, not eating it anymore. So it is hard. I'm telling you, for those who brought up in a South Indian, especially breakfast style, that is heavily rice and lentil based. Fried mostly. So it's, you have to have, you need to give it up.
It's hard, but suffering the consequences of diabetes is also quite hard.
Exactly. So I don't think it's not even worth comparing.
Yeah. Mandy says, have you told us what you eat in a day?
Yes, so I was going to show the recipe. This is a typical thing. I start my day off with a cup of coffee. Trying to wean it out, but nevertheless, I'm a coffee guy. I have a cup of coffee with the unsweetened soy milk. And I love a brand. I don't want to go into the brand business, but you got to be very careful with the non-dairy milk you choose, because most of them have sugars and things like that. The one I like is completely non-sugar, no carbs. So you can have that. That's my cup of coffee in the morning. Then I usually have chia pudding. Chia pudding is my go-to. I've had it for every single day for the last, 2 years. Every day is a different flavor, right? So chia seeds is the base, but then I can mix my usually selected. I'll also show you there in a minute. The non-dairy milk I mix. It's extremely good. I use different types of nuts, different types of dried fruits. You can have any types of fruit and berries. So many berries are there. And then so many flavors: cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla essence, saffron, turmeric. Mix it up and eat it. Totally fulfilling. You look at that, 220 calories, net carbs of 12 grams. It's a full bowl of chia pudding. This will keep me going till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Right. Then I have
Do you wear a continuous glucose monitor still?
I do, only when I travel. So when I know I got to travel, sometimes you got to eat out. I want to make sure that, I don't do something crazy, but usually I don't have to do it anymore because I know now what I'm eating.
So eating out, people are asking, what can a person order in an Indian restaurant that's healthy, that's not just swimming?
Yeah, sorry to say that there's not much you can eat in an Indian restaurant. Especially because they have a vegetable dish and either a roti, naan type of thing, or they have rice and butter and cream and ghee. And I don't know. I feel sorry, but I don't go to Indian restaurants most of the time. If there is a grilled vegetable, I can have that.
But you can make all that at home.
Yeah, Aruna is commenting from the back, and she's saying, hey, you know what? One thing I decided is I can cook better than most of the restaurants. Sorry, not to put the restaurants down, but for this type of a diet, I felt, why am I going out there and trying to find something when I easily can? But when I do go out with folks and work and other things, what I do is this. I don't order from the main entree. I order the side dish. The side dish has a lot of vegetables usually. They have Brussels sprouts, they have broiled vegetables, they have sweet potatoes, those sort of things. I can get greens, lettuce, spinach. I get that. Soups. We can have some soups. Some vegetable soups are okay. I can have salads, of course. So salads these days are getting much better in the restaurants as well. You can ask the dressing on the side, and you can get wonderful salads. So soup and salad and side vegetables, okay. Just company and the work. I don't have to necessarily partake in everything that's being eaten out there.
Right. What are you guys going to have for Thanksgiving?
We have a huge Thanksgiving menu, right? I mean, this is what we do. Last year, Aruna, what did we do? We did stuffed. Last year we did stuffed green pepper with cauliflower. It was spectacular. I mean, so cauliflower, rice, you mix it up with the spice and you stuff it into the green pepper and then you roast it in the oven. It's fantastic.
We're making.
What are we making?
We're making acorn squash stuffed with butternut squash risotto, and so we'll use some of the acorn squash, meal pulp in it. That's going to be the main dish, and then we're going to do some chipotle mushroom tacos, and there was one more. I printed out 3 different recipes as to start with, and I already went shopping for all of it. So getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, what we can do is I'll just send you a note, Chef AJ, with that recipe of the Thanksgiving, what we're doing. Just this is not necessarily when people hear vegan, right, it's dangerous actually. You can be having your vegetable burger or patty all day long. That's necessarily not great for you. There's so many fried foods, people think it's vegan and you have vegan. You got to be careful, because a lot of it is fatty, a lot of it is fried. So
someone's asking, do you or did you use alma or gooseberry?
Amla or gooseberry. Yes, I've used amla. Amla without the sugar. So if it is dried amla is available, you can put that in there in some of the soups and salads. It's really nice.
And you get frozen amla.
Yeah, you get frozen amla too. But what we want to avoid is the pickled or sugared candied amlas. That's what I don't want to use that.
Yep, absolutely. Did you want to stop sharing your slides, or you want to show you?
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to quickly go into the cooking station to show some couple of things real quick. And then let the audience ask whatever they need to ask. I'm going to show you a couple of products as well.
It's so interesting, your story, because you had no symptoms, you weren't overweight. And so people couldn't necessarily see a change in you. You know what I mean?
I lost some weight. And you know what the thing was? When you come from 200 to 100 is a big deal and things like that. When you come from 157, 158 to 140 to 143, also it's a change because it's remarkable, right? And the first question people ask is, like, are you not well? You're having some major health issue. No, I said, this is voluntary. I'm doing this diet to cure myself. It's like, it's an interesting feedback you get whenever people see you. You look very, very pale. You look this and that. No, I feel great. So I'm going to go.
But most people also tell you look good. Like,
yeah, some people say yes, you're you're looking good. By the way, by doing all of that, the fringe benefit is I'm back to my waist size when I was in college. How about that?
That's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. All right. Without much ado, let me quickly go over to that station and then Aruna will help us turn the laptop around. Okay?
Good.
All right. All right, very good. So we are going to first start with chia pudding. I know there are a million chia puddings out there in the web and internet, but I want to show you what I do. So chia pudding has a bunch of ingredients. So I'm going to start with some the chia seeds. This is the organic chia seeds. You can get it from Amazon or your local grocery store. Usually I put some nuts, and you can go with, this is walnut. You can go with walnuts or pecans or sliced almonds. Any of those nuts will work. Fruits, usually I put some blueberries. You can use pomegranates if you want. You can use raspberry. You can use any number of other types of apples. You can slice apples in there. papayas in there. You can slice peaches in there, nectarines in there. All of that works, right? So let's start with our base. So let's put, I'm going to make a blueberry. So I'm going to put the blueberry in a bowl. Fantastic. Some chia seeds. I'm going to put the chia seeds in there. That's a quarter cup. I'm going to put the nuts. Okay. I'm going to put the raisins. Instead of raisins, you can use dates. You can use berries, dried cranberry or craisins, those type of things. Okay, put that in there. This is the base. Now I'm going to put, this is a milk I found. This is flax milk, unsweetened. This is the best I found out there for this dish. You can use oat milk, but oat milk has inherent sugar. You can use soy milk, but most of the soy is fortified in sugar. So if you look at this one here, this has 1 gram of carb, right? And it's perfect, very tasty, and it is smooth. The texture is great. So I'm going to take, here is a...
Does it have calcium?
This is fortified with protein and calcium. So there is another one which has the omega also in there, but I don't like that one because it has some gum, which makes the texture more, creamy. This is the regular fortified with protein and calcium flax milk with no carb. So
what store did you get that at? That's
this you can get it from you can get it from Giant, you can get it from Whole Foods. I have seen in Safeway as well. Okay, this is a pretty popular brand, at least here in the East Coast. I found it everywhere here.
I have to look for that.
Yeah, please. And this is a half a cup I'm putting in. You can see the texture of the milk. It's still rather creamy, so we can put it in there. And that's about it. So we just mix it up. This is a hearty breakfast, you can see. And leave it around. You get up in the morning, brew your first cup of coffee, mix this up, put it on the side, pick up your newspaper, come back in, and boom, there you go, chia pudding ready. I'm going to show you one I made already, and you can see how it is. So this is the chia pudding that's already made, and this one is a consistency. You can see how it is thickened. That's because I let it sit there forever. So you can put some more milk and thin it up, but this is the one with the pomegranate. So you can see the consistency. It looks like a pudding, and it's yummy.
It looks delicious.
Right? So there you go. That's how I start my day, and that's fantastic. So let me quickly move things around and bring the second one over. Oh, I didn't tell, this is the important thing. Look at these wonderful things. This is nutmeg. You can use nutmeg in your chia pudding. Turmeric, wonderful. Sprinkle some turmeric to get some flavor. Here is saffron. How about saffron? Beautiful. This is some vanilla extract. Wonderful. And this is cinnamon. There you go, 5 times. Look at the combinations you're creating with 4 different types of nuts, 5 different types of flavoring, 6 different types of fruits. You can go on for chia pudding and not repeat anything for at least 6 months. Okay, there you go. So let me get the next one in. And this time, I'm going to start a salad for you guys. So this is a nice salad I'm going to start.
It's all you.
Sorry. What I'm going to show you guys is BokChoy salad. So this is BokChoy. You all know BokChoy. It comes in 2 flavors. Today my salad calls for the baby BokChoy. The large BokChoy sometimes is unwieldy. The texture is a little bit tough for salad. The baby BokChoy is tender. And it's very nice when you eat it, the flavor comes through and it's crunchy. So here is BokChoy. I'm going to quickly chop some BokChoy into the bowl. Put some BokChoy in the bowl. Let me get one more bunch and then Beautiful. So that's BokChoy. All right. Now let me come here. You gotta put it up here like so. Okay, you can see it. I cut the BokChoy in the bowl. Now here is some Mandarin oranges. So this you can get anywhere. Clementine Mandarin orange works. I took 2 Mandarin oranges and cut the pips out and sliced it in half. All right, so that gave me my base, which is BokChoy, gave me my sweet, which is Mandarin orange. Now I'm going to put some shallots. 1 shallot, finely chopped. I'm putting it in there.
You know, so many people have a belief that if you're diabetic, you can't have fruit.
No, that is not true. Certain types of fruits are to be limited in quantity, like mango, like banana, like honeydew melons, like white melon. Those melons and bananas and mango, they have a high fructose concentration, which tends to spike your sugar. But the berries, the apples and the pears and the plums and the peaches and the nectarines, they're fine. Even the oranges, the certain types of oranges are fine. Certain types are extremely sweet. You got to be careful. You limit the quantity instead of indulging in them. So BokChoy base, Mandarin orange, put some shallot and put some sliced, thinly sliced ginger in here. Peanuts. These are roasted peanuts, a couple of teaspoons. I got some diced avocados. All right. And this is the most important one. What protein do I add in this? So here is broiled tofu. What you do is you take your hard, extra firm tofu, then mix it up with some spice and oregano, salt, pepper, then put it in the broiler for about 20 minutes in the oven, in the broil setting. That's it. You see how it is? It can be used as a crouton, can be used. So I'm going to put a few in here. That's my protein. And now, what kind of dressing do we need for this? It's interesting. So let's make our wonderful Asian dressing. So this is a cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take tahini sauce as my base. Remember, no oil. So this recipe originally called for sesame oil. Instead of that, I'm going to use my tahini. So let me take a tablespoon of tahini. All right. Then I'm going to take rice vinegar. All right. So let me 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. All right. I'm going to put some tamari. Tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce. You can use other low sodium soy sauce if you like. So there is 2 tablespoons of tamari.
Are you able to have balsamic vinegar?
You can, but I don't personally flavor it because it's sugary. You can have it. It doesn't do much to your sugar. I just don't like so much sweet in my salad, but it works.
But we all love it.
I mean, everybody in the family likes it. So sorry about that. I'm going to take some garlic powder. So just sprinkle some garlic powder, how much ever you want. I put a 1/4 teaspoon in there. And then I'm putting some red chili pepper because it's a spicy Asian dressing. So I'm going to put a little bit of, there you go.
Mango.
And then you're going to close this. And you're going to give it a nice shake. All right, so that's how it looks, nice and creamy. And you put how much ever sauce you would like. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit there. That's it. Wonderful. So I'm going to bring a all right, so we'll now toss. And voila, it's ready to serve.
Yeah, that looks delicious.
So this is crunchy, BokChoy, sweet, Mandarin, nutty, peanuts, avocado for taste. You have the dressing, which is tahini with garlic, chili pepper, rice vinegar, and soy sauce. It's extremely tasty, and I think Aruna will vouch for it.
Yeah, my favorite, one of my favorite salads.
All right, so that takes care of that. How are we doing on time?
Oh, we're fine. Do you do most of the cooking in your house?
No, no. I wouldn't. I don't want to say that. Aruna used to cook a lot. I used to help out. She used to be the cook, and I used to be the cleaner. And that's the way the symbiotic relationship worked. And then when I started doing this, I always liked to cook. I just didn't cook that much. But now I cook quite a bit to help out. We share. I mean, we share the cooking, and
I think weekdays you do more cooking.
Yeah, I do more weekday cooking, and she does the more elaborate weekend type of thing, right? So that's hopefully any questions on those two recipes. It's pretty simple, right? I made it in 10 minutes, and it's hearty. It's this salad, if you have it, it's good for dinner.
Yeah, this is our
We
dinner.
use that for dinner, and you can vary the portions. I mean, you can have more tofu in there if you want more protein. It's great. It's crunchy. It's delicious.
The only question is, what time is dinner? Because they want to come over.
I want to mention another one. You can make this tofu and keep it in the fridge. This is what I called it, the broiled tofu. This serves as a protein. It'll if you don't have the time, you don't want to take the extra firm tofu and do it from scratch. There are products out there you can buy. This is Nasoya's baked tofu. It's already available. It's available in most of the Whole Foods has it, and Giants has it. And this one is basically a tofu that's already baked. It's not fried or stir fried. You can just take one slab out of it and cut and put it in the salad if you want to. If you're running out of time, I don't do it unless I'm completely out of time. I tend to make my own tofu over the weekend and put it in the fridge and take it whenever I'm making salad. Right? It stays for at least 3-4 days without any issues. And the same salad could be made with other base as well. I mean, I started with BokChoy.
Spinach. It's really
you
good.
can do it with baby spinach. You can do it with kale. You can do the same principle applies. But BokChoy Mandarin really works.
It sounds like a fabulous combination. I'm guessing you take your lunch to work.
I work from home most of the time, and therefore I go down to my office room and take my lunch down to the office room. Yes.
I take my lunch.
She takes, yes, Aruna does go to her office, and she takes her lunch. So yes.
It's leftover dinner.
Yeah, leftover lunch and dinner. Usually we make at least 1.5, 2 portions. So the next day lunch is usually the dinner taken that way.
Yeah.
All right. There is one more dish. Do we have time?
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, you have time. Okay, fantastic. Now we have done the breakfast. We have done the salad. Now we're going to do a soup. And this soup is fantastic. And I cannot imagine anyone who would not like it. So let me bring all the soup ingredients out. All right. So I'm going to show you the soup ingredients. So one small sweet potato diced. You can see this is sweet potato.
I love sweet potatoes.
Yes. Small amount of spinach leaves. Okay. You can get it in any bagged spinach, or you want to cut the spinach, it's fine. 1 can of chickpeas. Okay. Now I want to mention that you can make your own chickpeas, meaning you can take the raw chickpeas and soak it overnight, and then it's a tough little legume, so it'll take a while you need to soak it at least for 12 hours plus, right? Then it'll get soft, otherwise it'll be hard. So what you can otherwise go get your own canned chickpeas, it's fine. But again, you have to be very careful. And this is Nature's Promise. I really like it because it's no salt. Most of the canned products have tons of salt. You have to look at the sodium and make sure it's not like 500 grams and 400 grams and things like that. So this is no salt. Nature's Promise is very good. I've used this in all sorts of dishes. It works out. Okay.
Say hi.
Sure. Mango wants to say hello.
He's so cute. Aw.
So the dish also needs diced tomatoes. I really, really like this brand, Muir Glen, available everywhere. Muir Glen has two flavors. One is the fire roasted tomatoes and one is a regular one. Either one is great. This recipe, I'm using a regular one, but the key thing is no salt added. So you don't want salt. You want to add whatever salt you want. You don't want to inherit salt from all these canned products. So Nature's Promise, no salt for the chickpeas. Here you have Muir Glen organic diced tomatoes, no salt. Okay. All right.
I love those. I buy them by the case.
There you go. So you know it. All right. Then we have, of course, our favorite red onions chopped. And we have some garlic, of course. Who would need like garlic? Some swigs of thyme. We have a little, our herb thing there next to the window. And that's where you just pluck it. It grows all over the year. You don't have to worry about it indoor. This is very, very flavorful. That's thyme. And some cumin. Now, cumin is a wonder drug. I mean, food. Sorry. This is wonderful. This also goes into the soup. So, and then a couple more. Who can live without paprika? There you go. That's paprika for you. And then some chili powder. Okay. That's the dish we're going to make. It's called a chickpea soup. Yes. And finally, we're going to garnish it with our good old friend, cilantro. And cilantro, when you get from the store, you get the bunches. I recommend you put it in one of these little containers with water. It'll stay for at least a week. If you put it in the fridge, it wilts and does all sorts of crazy things. But if you put it like this, you can keep it out 3-4 days for sure. And you can pluck whatever you want. So that's the ingredient list for our soup. So let's get started. I have my Instapot here. I'm going to use it purely as a cooking vessel. I'm not pressure cooking or anything. Just for convenience sake, I'm doing it here. Is it connected?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put it in saute mode. Here you go. This is the saute mode of Instapot. You see, stovetop, same thing. You're just medium heat. I'm going to start this.
But you use Instapot mostly.
I use Instapot
always,
because it's easy. It's I can do whatever I want with the Instapot, even for regular stir fry or sauteing or things like that. So now it's on. It's pretty much like I put a stock pot on top of the stove in medium heat. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of water, because remember, no oil in this recipe. So I'm going to put a tad of water. Right. And then I'm going to put the onion and the garlic in there. Okay. So.
Can you eat white potatoes with your diabetes, or do you personally choose?
I don't. I've not seen a white potato. So I don't eat it. But when kids come home at Aruna, sometimes makes they bake the white potato in the oven and eat it. And I put alongside with it sweet potato.
Daikon. You use.
Oh, daikon. Another one, I tell you, the daikons, the white radish, the big ones. You can slice it and then treat it like your potato and make you put it in the broiler and take it. Oh my God, it is so good. It's as though it's like French fries, you know.
But you can eat few potatoes.
Yeah, I eat a couple of potatoes. It's just that I consciously avoid starches and white potatoes when I eat sweet potato.
Wait, when you say you avoid starches, you eat beans. That's a starch.
I know, but it's purely, you know what I mean, carbohydrate.
No, only simple carbs.
Simple carbs. Okay, good point.
So no white rice for you then.
No white rice for me. I've not had white rice in a while. So this is why this is
even brown rice increases
yeah.
sugars.
That's what I one of my Mythbusters slide, right? So it's important. I was always told Oatmeal is good for you. Always. Mucilix is good for you. Right? Always told that brown rice is good for you. It may be good for most of them,
And
but
the
it was.
mucilix has no added sugar. You're talking about the one that.
I'm only talking about mucilix, which has tons of dried fruits and things like that, which basically, when I checked my sugar 1.5 hours or 2 hours after eating a bowl of mucilix, it's like out there somewhere. Because now your body is reacting to that fresh inflow of carbs.
Do you think that with time you might be able to eat some of these things in small portions, like with
Yes,
that
is the message I want to give. It's not as though I become an ascetic or a monk. It's about weaning off the food that affects the blood sugar level and bringing it back in measured quantity. So instead of eating, I used to eat 2-3 bananas because I said, hey, bananas are potassium. It's great for you. Go and eat it. Now I eat maybe half a banana or 3/4 of a banana. Or instead of eating a handful of French fries, maybe have a couple of pieces of whatever. Right?
But maybe after a few years, you could eat more.
Could. Again, I want to measure it. If it's fine, I'll eat it. There's no issue. I'm not against anything. I just want to make sure my readings are right. I become kind of obsessive compulsive that way.
I was going to say, you're very diligent.
Hey, you know what? It's that or alternative is not very rosy for me.
I think engineer,
I think she always tells me, you guys.
Hey, I'm very proud of you and impressed. I mean, I wish more people would take their lifestyle diseases as seriously as you.
Yep.
So I'm putting the sweet potatoes in there. It's kind of sauteing. You can hear the noise. It's there you go. And that's you can see it. Then we're going to put the chickpeas. It's very simple. We're going to put I'm going to put the canned diced tomatoes, a couple of cans of water. How much ever tomato you put here? I put a couple of them, couple of water. So I'm not using any vegetable stock. You can create your own vegetable stock and put it, but in this case, I'm just using plain water. I'm going to put the cumin. This is the cumin. The recipe is there. You can follow whatever it is. And I'm going to put this thyme, fresh thyme. Okay. And then I'm going to put some salt. You don't need the salt because there is no salt in any other product. So I'm going to put probably about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon. Okay, there you go. And let it sit. So instead of letting it sit, to make use of the time,
you want to turn off that?
No, that'll be fine. It'll be done in about 5 minutes because it's running. It's already, most of the products are cooked. Okay, I gotta put some chili powder in here, so I'm gonna use the. So let me take chili powder here, and then a generous portion of the paprika. I would say this is a teaspoon measure. A full teaspoon of paprika. Okay.
And people can have less or more depending on.
They can have less or more depending on their taste. There is no issue with that. So we're gonna close all of these guys. Leave it there.
When do you add the spinach?
The spinach is later when it is fully cooked because spinach cooks fast and it wilts. So you don't want the spinach to disintegrate. So you leave it like that. So that'll take another 5 minutes. So I don't want to let the whole audience wait here. So what happens with this dish is this will cook for about 10 minutes and then everything will be soft. We add the spinach. What we do is we take 1 cup out of that soup and then put it in a Vitamix or one of your blender to thicken, right? That's your thickening agent. So you take 1 cup out of this and blend it and then take the blended portion back into the soup and let it sit for another 2-3 minutes and you'll have a hearty soup. Which has your sweet potato, which has your chickpeas, which has your tomatoes, which has thyme and wonderful flavors of onion and garlic. You garnish it with cilantro, and if you would like, you can add a half a lid of lime, and it'll be fantastic. This whole thing takes only about 20 minutes. I mean, we just started it now, but If you let it sit there in about 10 minutes, the whole soup would be done. And there you go. You had a breakfast, you had some salad, and you got soup.
Well, you know what's so great? I mean, these recipes can be enjoyed by anybody.
Anybody.
You don't have to be diabetic to enjoy.
No, not at all. That's the thing. My kids come in and have it and say, wow, okay, this is tasty. And you know what? I want to tell you, we met with a bunch of friends from college. We do this once a year. We go out for a reunion type, and then I usually take charge of the cooking, just the menu and things like that. So I exposed this year folks to this sort of food, which is
how many people?
14 of them. So made all of these dishes for 3 full days, mostly dinner and lunch. And, just to see, are people receptive to, without letting them say this is whole food plant-based or this is this and that. People don't know. That's the problem I see. The health industry, the nutrition and things like that, if you go to the web, it's so confusing. There's so many diets, so many of them. Some are fad, some are not. The emphasis seems to be on a particular weight loss and things like that. It's just fine. But, simplify and let people know that anyone can cook. There was a PBS show back then. It was called Yan Can Cook. I'm saying anyone can cook. It's all available. The products are also available now. All these canned products I talked to you about is available in most of the stores. They are ready to use. You don't even have to go and
Online.
And online you can order. Yes. So that is the general story, and that was the quick recipe demonstration.
Yeah, everything was fabulous. If you ever thought about writing a book?
I don't know. This is a little too early. I want to know what the audience feels. And if there is some story to say, I want to definitely narrate my story, not from an expert point of view or anything, but just like an ordinary man. We have these preconceived notions about what diabetes is and how to cure it and things like that, and how you can. Yes.
I'm going to say you're a data person.
Uh-huh.
Data tells, but stories sell.
There you go. See that?
I love that. Oh, you guys make a wonderful team. Well, I think what was so remarkable about your story is when you started is that you didn't have any external, markers. I mean, you weren't walking around with extra weight or anything that was making it obvious. And so you wonder how many other people, I just interviewed a doctor on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and people are walking around with this serious condition and they don't know it either.
Absolutely. This is the number one point. Very good point you're making. I showed you a statistic out there, right? 58% of the Indian population were undiagnosed because they don't know. And if you really read all the books and the doctor's presentation, etc., what's a typical symptom of diabetes? Oh my God, you have all these symptoms. You're frequently going to the restroom, you're parched, you're losing energy and this and that, you're overweight, a shortness of breath. None of that, right? So here you are. I'm pretty sure there are some folks who fit the profile, and it's very, very important. This is a killer disease. It's a silent disease. It's a multi-organ affecting disease, and one that can be effectively managed and even reversed with food. My goodness.
It's economically,
or even maybe prevented in the first place.
Exactly. This whole notion of cultural eating and things like that has to be really, really addressed, because and this quickness, I don't have time to eat the right food. I had to pick up whatever is available. And the cliched thing is you go to a supermarket and the produce aisle is the smallest in the entire store. That's an irony. You have the middle aisles, 6 aisles are fully processed foods of simple carbs. And there you go, produce is of half an aisle or an aisle. And that's a travesty, right? And the challenge also is the affordability. I mean, I can sit here in nice Bethesda and say, why don't you get chia seeds and flax seeds and things? These are expensive things. And, for the population that is affected by diabetes, we have to make it affordable for them. And so that they can eat good, healthy food. And some are cultural and it's difficult to change, and you have to persist with data. People are not dumb. They can understand if you show them exactly how their body is reacting and how they're,
Yeah. Well, I think it's a story that needs to be told. If, we'd like to tell it, we'd love to have people hear it. That's why we have.
Absolutely. I would love to share if it benefits even one person and I can shift the mindset of one person. I'm more than happy to do it. It can be done.
I've had 2 weeks on, I've done over almost 800 shows now, and 2 weeks were dedicated to Indian doctors in India, lifestyle medicine doctors and in India, and then 1 week of lifestyle Indian medicine doctors, but that live not in India. Right. And they say that, like this ghee is so, people don't want to give that up. It's part of the culture, like you say, and they see it as medicine. And that's, I'm sure, not very good.
What I tell them, I have this argument with my friends and colleagues and other people in the community, and they say that, it said in this book and that book and text and all of that. Then I said, you have to live like how those guys lived. If you live your life like what those guys lived, then eat the food they ate. Here we are sitting in this comfort lifestyle, sedentary, no physical work, no nothing. And then we're trying to, eat the ghee. They worked in the field, maybe they're on their feet for 8-9 hours a day.
And the cow ate 25 types of grass too.
I don't even want to go into the way the poor animals are treated these days. So, the dairy industry and how the cows are treated, who knows where the milk is coming from to create the ghee. That's a whole different, I don't even want to go there. That's very sensitive topic, but it's personal in the sense that, look, anything in moderation, you don't have to use ghee for every product. It's not necessary. I mean, if you want to taste, just put a dropper full, maybe, just to get.
Well, Indian food can be made delicious without oil. We know that.
Absolutely, it can be made. I mean, some of the rice-based product also we can make it with millet, or you can make it with other grains. It is just because even rice, Chef AJ, this is what people need to understand, right? Rice has been over-engineered over the generations to remove anything good from that product. There is no husk. There is no germ.
No, but it's so good.
Oh, so good. It's sugar. You might as well open the sugar can and have 2 teaspoons of sugar.
Oh my God, but white rice is so delicious. I'm so guilty of enjoying it. I got to tell you. I mean, I eat it with a lot of vegetables.
Glory to whoever can eat it, but eat it in moderation. If you tend to eat a cup, eat quarter cup, and mix it up with some fibrous base that tends to slow down the glucose metabolism.
But the sugar is fine. It's no.
I know. I mean, what? It's today you're fine. Who knows what is tomorrow? Right? It's an epidemic, right?
Oh, you're fine. You guys are great. You should do something together. You guys have, like the Indian Sonny and Cher, maybe.
There you go. You see how she's like, from the back prompting. That's great.
I think you guys are terrific. Well, I'm so glad that when you said that, Dr. Nathan, I said, well, let's have him on the show, because I had a feeling it would be a great story. And thank you so much for they say at Passover, it would have been enough. The demonstration would have been enough. The PowerPoint would have been enough, but we got so much from you. So thank you so much. Oh, now we can see you both together.
Yeah, appreciate it, Chef AJ. This has been wonderful. Hopefully, your audience was happy with the content and interested to hear my story. And I enjoyed it. Look forward to other sessions, or we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you know this, but every guest that comes on the first time, if they live in the United States, gets 2 free bottles of balsamic vinegar in the flavor of your choice. But you said you didn't like it. So
it's okay. It's Aruna likes it.
We're gonna still send it, but I'm just making a joke now. But thank goodness that Thomas Allen isn't watching this episode, because he's the one who donates it. So I'm pulling your leg now because I had to do that. So
that's all right. Yeah.
And they have a curry flavored vinegar that I think is amazing. So
yes.
It's quite good. And so, and they have a new cucumber flavor coming out next month. It's very nice on salad. So thank you so much. This was just a wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much, Chef AJ. Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at the earlier time of 9 a.m. when we do our multi-chef with 8 chefs Thanksgiving cook along. The recipes will be available tomorrow. If you're on my mailing list, you've already got the shopping list. So I hope you'll cook along with us. And I can't wait to hear about your Thanksgiving.
Will do. Thanks a lot.